Every one of us carries within us the imprint of our upbringing. The way our parents spoke to us, the emotions they modeled, the affection or lack of it they expressed, all leave deep marks on how we see ourselves and how we relate to others. Sometimes these marks are nurturing, filling us with confidence and security. At other times, they are scars, shaping patterns of fear, doubt, or conflict that we may struggle with well into adulthood. Philippa Perry, an experienced psychotherapist and thoughtful writer, addresses these complex truths in her groundbreaking book, The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read and Your Children Will Be Glad That You Did. This is not a manual filled with rigid rules about parenting. Instead, it is a compassionate exploration of relationships between parent and child, between partners, and perhaps most importantly, between who we are now and the child we once were. Perry's central argument is that connection matters more than perfection. Parents inevitably make mistakes. What truly counts is whether they recognize these mistakes, repair them, and rebuild trust. By cultivating awareness of our own emotions and past wounds, we can break destructive cycles and foster healthier, more resilient bonds with our children. The book also reminds us that parenting is not only about raising children, it is also about raising ourselves. Many of us repeat the behaviors we disliked in our parents without realizing it. Perry encourages us to pause, reflect, and learn new ways of relating so that love and respect can replace old patterns of neglect or misunderstanding. This summary will take you through the key themes of the book: the importance of emotional attunement, how to handle conflict constructively, why honesty and repair are essential in relationships, and how awareness of our own childhood experiences can transform us into better parents, partners, and human beings. And as we journey through these insights, remember, this is not about blaming parents or feeling guilty. It is about understanding, healing, and moving forward with greater compassion for ourselves and others. If you enjoy this summary, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring book insights. Chapter 1. The Impact of Childhood on Our Present. Philippa Perry begins her book with a profound truth. We cannot fully understand our relationship with our children without first reflecting on our own childhood. Each of us still carries within us the child we once were, along with all the experiences, whether nurturing or painful, that shaped us. These experiences don't vanish as we grow older. Instead, they become the lenses through which we interpret the world and the behavior of others. Perry highlights how many of the tensions in parent-child relationships are part of repeated cycles across generations. If we grew up in an environment marked by harshness or neglect, we might, without realizing it, reproduce those same patterns with our own children, even when we consciously reject them. The key is awareness. Noticing when we are about to repeat what once hurt us and choosing a different, healthier response. Parenting, she emphasizes, is not only about providing food, shelter, and education, it is fundamentally about emotional nurturing. A child needs to feel heard, understood, and accepted. When their emotions are respected, they grow into adults who respect themselves and others. But when their feelings are dismissed, mocked, or ignored, they may learn to hide or suppress them, often leading to difficulties in expressing themselves or connecting authentically as adults. Another powerful idea Perry shares is that mistakes are inevitable. No parent can avoid them. What matters is not perfection, but the willingness to repair. Apologizing to a child, admitting an error, and reconnecting are not signs of weakness. Instead, they teach the child that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and that love does not mean being flawless, it means being willing to grow and heal together. Thus, Perry urges us to see that the first step towards raising emotionally healthy children begins with ourselves, reconciling with our own past, acknowledging our wounds, and breaking the cycle of pain so it doesn't continue from one generation to the next. Chapter 2. Understanding Feelings, Not Controlling Them. In the second chapter, Philippa Perry dives deeper into the world of emotions, our own as adults and those of our children. She argues that one of the greatest mistakes many parents make is trying to control or shut down their children's emotions instead of trying to understand them. When a child cries, shouts, or gets angry, it can trigger discomfort in the parent. Often, this discomfort comes not from the child's behavior itself, but from the parent's unresolved experiences with emotions during their own upbringing. If, as children, we were told to stop crying or be strong whenever we felt overwhelmed, we may unconsciously repeat the same dismissive responses with our kids. But Perry insists that emotions are not problems to be solved, they are messages to be listened to. When a child is angry, they are signaling frustration, fear, or unmet needs. When they're sad, they are expressing loss or disappointment. Ignoring or suppressing these feelings does not make them disappear. It only teaches the child to disconnect from themselves. Instead of controlling, Perry encourages validation. To validate is to acknowledge and accept the child's emotions, even if we cannot immediately fix the situation. For example, saying, "I can see that you're upset because your toy broke. That must feel disappointing," gives the child a sense of being understood. This does not mean indulging every demand, but rather respecting the reality of the child's inner world. By learning to validate emotions, parents also teach children crucial life skills: emotional regulation, empathy, and resilience. Children who grow up with this kind of emotional acceptance become adults who can handle challenges without shutting down or lashing out. Perry also extends this principle to adults themselves. If we hope to be emotionally available to our children, we must first learn to listen and validate our own feelings. Suppressing our anger, sadness, or vulnerability only increases the likelihood that we will project unresolved emotions onto our kids. Ultimately, this chapter calls for a shift from control to connection. Parenting is not about molding children into emotionless beings, but about guiding them through their feelings, helping them name, understand, and eventually regulate them. In doing so, we not only support their development, but also heal parts of ourselves. Chapter 3. The Power of Listening. In this chapter, Philippa Perry emphasizes that listening is one of the most powerful tools a parent can use to build a healthy relationship with their child. But listening, she argues, is often misunderstood. Many parents believe they are listening when in fact they are simply waiting for their turn to respond, or they rush to offer solutions before the child has even finished expressing themselves. True listening is about giving a child the space to share their thoughts and feelings without interruption, judgment, or immediate correction. It means putting aside the urge to fix everything right away and instead focusing on understanding the child's perspective. Perry reminds us that children, just like adults, long to be heard. When a child senses that their parent is genuinely paying attention, they feel valued and respected. This creates trust, which is the foundation of all strong relationships. On the other hand,
If a child repeatedly feels ignored or dismissed, they may stop sharing altogether, retreating into silence or secrecy. Listening also teaches children by example. When parents model active listening, nodding, reflecting back what the child says, showing empathy, the child learns to do the same with others. In this way, listening not only strengthens the parent-child bond, but also equips the child with the tools to form healthier relationships throughout life. Perry points out that listening does not mean agreeing with everything a child says. Instead, it's about acknowledging their inner world. For example, if a teenager says, "I hate school," the instinct may be to argue back. "No, you don't. You have friends there." But a listening approach would be, "It sounds like you're feeling really unhappy at school right now. Do you want to tell me more about what's going on?" By listening in this way, parents show that they respect their child's reality, even when it doesn't align with their own. This, in turn, fosters openness, honesty, and emotional security. In essence, this chapter reinforces the idea that listening is love in action. To listen is to give your full attention, your time, and your empathy, all of which communicate to the child, "You matter. Your voice matters."
Chapter 4. Repairing, Not Perfecting. Philippa Perry opens this chapter with a liberating message. Parenting is not about perfection. No matter how hard we try, we will inevitably make mistakes, lose our temper, misunderstand our child, or fail to respond in the way we wish we had. The critical point, she argues, is not whether mistakes happen, but how we deal with them afterward. Many parents carry the burden of guilt, believing that every wrong word or misstep has permanently damaged their child. Perry challenges this notion, reminding us that what truly shapes a child is not a single incident, but the overall pattern of the relationship. Children are resilient, and what they need most is not flawless parents, but parents who are willing to acknowledge their mistakes and repair the connection. Repair begins with humility, saying, "I'm sorry I shouted at you. I was tired, but that doesn't make it okay." Not only restores the bond, but also teaches the child a powerful lesson, that it is human to err and courageous to make amends. This kind of honesty builds trust, because the child learns that their parent is both real and reliable. Perry emphasizes that repair does not mean overcompensating or trying to erase the mistake. It is not about smothering the child with gifts or false promises. Rather, it is about facing the rupture openly and demonstrating a willingness to reconnect. In fact, these moments of repair can make the relationship stronger than before, because they show the child that conflicts can be resolved and love can withstand imperfections. This idea also frees parents from the toxic trap of perfectionism. Striving for perfect parenting only leads to stress, frustration, and a sense of failure. Instead, Perry encourages parents to accept that missteps are part of the journey, and that what matters most is the capacity to learn, adapt, and grow alongside their children. By focusing on repair rather than perfection, parents not only nurture a healthier bond with their children, but also model an essential life skill: the ability to face conflict, take responsibility, and rebuild relationships.
Chapter 5. The Importance of Boundaries. In this chapter, Philippa Perry explores a topic that is often misunderstood in parenting: boundaries. Many parents worry that setting boundaries might make them seem harsh, authoritarian, or unloving. Others, in an effort to be supportive and permissive, avoid boundaries altogether, believing this will give their children freedom and happiness. Perry makes it clear that both extremes are problematic. Boundaries, she explains, are not walls that restrict children, but frameworks that keep them safe and teach them about the real world. Children thrive when they know where the limits are. Without boundaries, life can feel unpredictable and chaotic, leaving them anxious and insecure. With boundaries, they gain clarity about what is acceptable, what is not, and why. The key, Perry insists, is the way boundaries are set. Boundaries should be firm, yet empathetic. For instance, telling a child, "I know you want to keep playing, and it looks like you're having fun, but it's bedtime now, and your body needs rest," communicates both understanding and structure. The child's feelings are acknowledged, but the boundary remains in place. She contrasts this with the two unhealthy extremes. Rigid boundaries that are enforced without explanation or empathy, because I said so, often breed resentment and rebellion. Or no boundaries at all, which leave children overwhelmed and without guidance, often leading to behavioral problems or difficulty respecting others later in life. Perry also highlights that boundaries are not only about rules, but also about respecting the child as a separate individual. For example, respecting a child's privacy, their need for personal space, or their right to say no in certain situations teaches them about autonomy and self-respect. This balance of guidance and respect creates a foundation for mutual trust. In essence, boundaries are a form of love. They show the child that their parent cares enough to guide them, protect them, and prepare them for the realities of life. When applied with empathy and consistency, boundaries strengthen the parent-child relationship instead of weakening it. Perry's message is clear. Healthy boundaries are not barriers to love. They are pathways to trust and security.
Chapter 6. Breaking the Cycle. In this chapter, Philippa Perry turns her attention to one of the most challenging yet transformative tasks in parenting, breaking harmful cycles that pass from one generation to the next. Many parents unintentionally repeat the very behaviors they once resented in their own upbringing, simply because those patterns are so deeply ingrained. For example, if someone grew up in a household where anger was expressed through shouting or silence, they might find themselves repeating the same style of conflict with their own children, even if they swore never to do so. Perry reminds us that such repetitions are not inevitable. With awareness and effort, we can interrupt these patterns and choose healthier responses. The first step is awareness. Parents need to reflect on their own childhood experiences and ask, what did I need that I didn't receive? What did I experience that I don't want to pass on? This reflection is not about blaming one's parents, but about recognizing the emotional inheritance we carry. The second step is conscious choice. When faced with difficult parenting moments, we can pause and ask ourselves, am I reacting as my parents once did, or am I responding in a way that aligns with the kind of parent I want to be? That pause creates space for a new, healthier action. Perry also emphasizes the power of self-compassion in this process. Breaking cycles is not easy. It involves unlearning old habits while simultaneously building new ones. There will be setbacks, moments when we slip into old patterns. Instead of drowning in guilt, though, Perry encourages parents to see these moments as opportunities to notice, repair, and grow. Importantly, she reminds us that children are perceptive. When they see their parents struggling, but trying, apologizing, changing, and making the effort, they learn resilience and the value of growth. This shows them that family patterns are not fixed destinies, but can evolve for the better. Ultimately, this chapter offers hope.
No matter how painful or complicated our past may be, we are not doomed to repeat it. By becoming aware, making conscious choices, and practicing compassion, parents can end cycles of neglect, harshness, or emotional distance and replace them with cycles of connection, empathy, and love.
Chapter 7. Connection over Perfection. Philippa Perry uses this chapter to bring together one of the book's central messages. What children need most is connection, not perfect parenting. She reassures readers that trying to be the perfect parent is not only impossible, but also counterproductive. Striving for perfection often creates stress, guilt, and a sense of failure, which in turn weakens the parent-child bond. Instead, Perry emphasizes the importance of building a relationship based on presence, empathy, and authenticity. Children don't remember every mistake or every rule. What they carry with them is the feeling of being loved, seen, and accepted for who they are. She explains that connection is cultivated through the small, everyday moments. Listening attentively when a child talks about their day, sharing a laugh, showing affection, or simply sitting quietly together. These ordinary interactions, when repeated consistently, create a foundation of trust that lasts far beyond childhood. She also challenges the cultural pressures that push parents to constantly do more, whether it's enrolling children in endless activities, pushing for academic excellence, or curating a picture-perfect family image. She argues that children don't need parents who are endlessly busy providing opportunities. They need parents who are emotionally available and genuinely interested in their inner world. This does not mean ignoring responsibilities or never setting expectations. Rather, it means that emotional connection takes priority over appearances and achievements. A child who feels emotionally secure is far better equipped to handle life's challenges than one that has every material advantage but lacks a sense of belonging. Finally, Perry reminds parents to extend this principle to themselves. Just as children benefit from connection more than perfection, so too do parents. Being kind to ourselves, accepting our flaws, and forgiving our mistakes are vital for sustaining the patience and empathy needed to nurture our children. In short, this chapter reinforces the book's guiding philosophy. Love and connection are the true measures of successful parenting. Perfection is not required. What matters most is being real, responsive, and willing to grow alongside your child. Chapter 8. The Role of Honesty and Authenticity. In this chapter, Philippa Perry explores why honesty and authenticity are essential in building strong, trusting relationships between parents and children. Many parents, often with good intentions, think they need to shield their children from difficult truths, hide their emotions, or pretend to be stronger than they really are. Perry challenges this approach, suggesting that it creates distance rather than closeness. Children, she argues, are remarkably perceptive. Even when words are withheld, they can sense tension, sadness, or anger in their parents. If a parent says, "Everything is fine," while clearly upset, the child not only feels confused, but may also internalize the idea that emotions should be hidden. This disconnect can leave children anxious, sensing something is wrong, but receiving no validation or explanation. Honesty, on the other hand, fosters trust and emotional security. This doesn't mean burdening children with adult problems or overwhelming details, but rather being authentic in age-appropriate ways. For example, saying, "I'm feeling a bit sad today, but I'll be okay," shows a child that emotions are normal and manageable. It reassures them while modeling healthy emotional expression. Authenticity, Perry also highlights, builds credibility. When parents admit their mistakes, own up to their limitations, or acknowledge their feelings, children learn that it's safe to do the same. This creates a family environment where vulnerability is not seen as weakness, but as part of being human. Equally important is the idea that authenticity prevents resentment. Pretending to always be in control or suppressing real feelings can lead to frustration, which may eventually spill out in unhealthy ways, anger, withdrawal, or blame. By practicing openness, parents not only release that burden, but also invite their children into a more genuine and balanced relationship. Perry concludes the chapter by stressing that honesty does not erode authority, it strengthens it. A parent who is real, who admits when they don't know something, or who apologizes when wrong, earns deeper respect than one who hides behind a mask of perfection. The core message is clear. Children need parents who are real, not flawless. By showing up authentically, parents provide their children with both a safe space to be themselves and a model for living with honesty, integrity, and emotional courage. Chapter 9. Love That Sets Free. In this final chapter, Philippa Perry reflects on the ultimate goal of parenting: to give children a foundation of love so strong that they can eventually stand on their own. She emphasizes that true love is not about control, possession, or shaping children into versions of ourselves. It is about equipping them with the security and confidence to become fully themselves. Many parents, often unconsciously, attach strings to their love. They may expect their children to fulfill unachieved dreams, adopt similar values, or even live in ways that keep the parents comfortable. This kind of conditional love can suffocate children, leaving them either resentful or unable to develop a strong sense of self. Instead, she argues that the healthiest expression of love is one that nurtures independence without breaking connection. Parents should aim to be a safe base from which children can explore the world, knowing they can always return for support, but without fear of judgment or control. Perry also reminds us that children do not need perfect love to thrive. What they need is consistent love, love that shows up even when there are disagreements, love that survives mistakes, and love that grows with them as they change. In this way, love becomes not a cage, but a bridge. It carries them from the dependency of childhood to the freedom of adulthood. Equally important is the reminder that this freeing kind of love benefits the parent as well. By letting go of unrealistic expectations, parents allow themselves to grow alongside their children. Rather than clinging to control, they can enjoy the unfolding of a unique human being who is not a copy, but an individual in their own right. Philippa closes her book with reassurance and hope. If we can parent with empathy, awareness, honesty, and connection, Then we break cycles of harm, repair old wounds, and offer the next generation something profoundly healing. Parenting, she insists, is less about rules and techniques and more about relationships built on respect and unconditional care. The final takeaway is simple yet powerful. Love your child for who they are, not who you want them to be. That is the kind of love that truly sets them free.
Conclusion. Philippa Perry's The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read is more than just a parenting guide. It is a compassionate reminder that relationships matter more than perfection. Through each chapter, she invites us to reflect on our own childhood, to understand our emotions, to listen deeply, and to break unhealthy cycles. She shows us that parenting is not about flawless performance, but about repair, connection, honesty, and above all, love that frees rather than controls. At its heart, this book is not only for parents, but for anyone who wants to build stronger, healthier relationships with children, partners, friends, and even with themselves. It challenges us to be more aware, more present, and more authentic in every interaction. So, if you've ever wondered how to heal from the past, how to connect more deeply with loved ones, or how to parent with empathy and resilience, this book offers wisdom that is both practical and profoundly human.